Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
In the beginning, there was only darkness, an ancient silence that stretched across the endless canvas of the universe. But in that stillness, something soft stirred. It was not a noise, not even a flicker, but a breath. A whisper of hydrogen, the simplest element, drifting quietly through the void. These tiny, unseen particles, smaller than dust and older than time, floated through the emptiness like seeds on a breeze no one could feel. Alone, they did nothing. But when gravity gathered them, gently, slowly, with the patience of the cosmos itself, they began to huddle together. The cold, empty black turned heavy with their presence, and in that weight, in that pressure, a secret began to wake. Imagine an invisible hand squeezing the center of a growing cloud. As more and more hydrogen gathered, the space between the atoms grew tighter, the air hotter, the motion more frantic. At some point, no one knows exactly when, a quiet threshold was crossed. The atoms, once content to drift apart, now found themselves pressed so close they could no longer remain the same. And in this moment, one of the greatest miracles of nature occurred. Hydrogen, under immense pressure, fused. Two atoms became one. And in that union, a burst of light was born. Not a flash, not a flame, but a steady, glowing pulse. The first star had taken its breath. You can almost hear it if you listen gently. A low, humming sigh deep in the bones of the sky. The heat was not just warmth. It was energy born from within, from the very essence of matter learning to become something more. This was nuclear fusion, the quiet art of stars, where atoms, once drifting and alone, come together in a dance so powerful and yet so delicate that it can last for billions of years without pause. Stars do not scream when they are born. They do not roar. Their beginnings are slow, careful awakenings like the soft blink of eyes in a sleeping child. They gather their strength over time, and once they are lit, they begin to shine not just outward but inward too, changing their own hearts, crafting new elements in the warmth of their core. Inside each newborn star, hydrogen becomes helium, a transformation so subtle you'd never guess it fuels everything we know. The light that reaches your window on a winter morning began in one of those places, deep within a star, where atoms once held hands and whispered themselves into brightness. This is not a tale of explosions, but of quiet gatherings, not of violence, but of stillness growing warm. And as stars begin to breathe, they begin to speak, not in words, but in light. Their photons travel unfathomable distances, some for millions of years, just to gently touch a leaf, a lake, a cheek. Every soft shimmer you've seen on snow, every glow on a midnight river, is a star's quiet message. A reminder that atoms once came together and decided, without noise, to shine. Let's drift deeper into the birth of these gentle giants. A single star may weigh as much as 1,000,000 Earths, yet it floats effortlessly in the sea of space. How can something so massive feel so light? It is the balance, a delicate, eternal push and pull. Gravity wants to collapse the star inward, squeezing it tighter and tighter. But fusion pushes back, sending heat and light outward in a perfect balance that can last for eons. If the star had no fusion, it would fall in on itself. If there were too much fusion, it would scatter. But stars are patient dancers, always adjusting, always breathing, always burning just enough to stay alive. Each one is a quiet symphony of balance, a glowing bubble where the universe holds its breath and lets time unfold. And the hydrogen, sweet, simple hydrogen, is always there, the most abundant element in the universe, the firstborn of the cosmos. Forged moments after the Big Bang, it has wandered across the darkness for over 13 billion years, waiting to be held, waiting to be changed. Every atom in your body, in your breath, has likely touched a star. The water you drink, the cells in your hands, all carry memories of fusion. Every heartbeat echoes the rhythm of stars breathing light into the void. Even now, above you in the night sky, new stars are being born. In distant clouds of gas and dust, hydrogen continues its soft journey, drawn by gravity, compressed by time, warmed into fire. And someday, far from now, their light will reach a future we can't imagine. Perhaps a child will see it from a new world and wonder where it came from. And the answer always will be the same. It began as a breath of hydrogen in a universe that never stopped dreaming. Let's drift deeper into the gentle core of stars, where fusion is not a single event but a continuous lullaby. Inside their warm hearts, the hydrogen that once floated alone now flows in harmony, becoming helium through a process called the proton-proton chain. But this transformation isn't rushed. It takes millions of years for the light born in the center to journey outward, pushing through the layers of plasma, layer by layer, like whispers moving through curtains. And by the time that light escapes, it has aged. It has softened. It has become the light that brushes your skin during a sunset, the glow that reflects on your windowpane, the sparkle that rests on a puddle after rain. Helium-2 is not the end. As stars grow older and use up their hydrogen, they begin to change. Their cores contract. Their shells expand. Some swell into red giants, their outer layers blossoming like giant flowers across the sky. Others become even more massive, beginning new fusions. Helium to carbon, carbon to oxygen, oxygen to neon. Each step a deeper breath, a slower rhythm. It's like peeling back the layers of a dream and finding a deeper one underneath. These heavier elements are born quietly in the bellies of stars, each created by pressure, heat, and patience, not violence. Think of your bones, your blood, the calcium in your teeth, the iron in your blood. These are not ordinary things. They are cosmic things, star-made things. The iron in your body, so essential to carrying oxygen through your veins, was born inside a star that lived and died long before our sun was even born. You are quite literally made of starlight that has cooled into matter. Inside the universe's great stillness, this cycle continues, slowly, gently. Stars do not race through their lives. They live across epochs, witnessing galaxies drift, collide, and reshape. And all the while in their quiet interiors, fusion continues. It's not a wildfire but a constant hum, like the soft purring of a sleeping cat or the steady beat of a lullaby. Each moment of fusion inside a star is like a poem being written in heat and light. And when that poem ends, something new begins. We often imagine stars as far away, unreachable. But they are not separate from us. They are our relatives, our ancestors. They teach us patience. They teach us what it means to transform gently, to let go of what no longer serves, and to make something new from something old. A star begins as hydrogen, becomes helium, then heavier elements, then dust, and then sometimes becomes a planet, a tree, a person. That's how connected everything truly is. In the arms of the night sky, stars are born in nurseries, clouds of gas and dust called nebulae. These clouds shimmer with color when lit by young stars, but inside, where it's darkest, is where birth begins. Gravity pulls particles together. Not all succeed. Many clouds drift apart, never forming stars. But some collapse inward, their centers growing hotter and denser. These are the lucky ones. These are the stars to be. The journey from cloud to star can take millions of years. And even once a star is lit, it takes time for it to find balance, to grow into itself, just like us. No star blazes to full strength in an instant. It learns, it adapts, it settles into a rhythm. The forces pushing in and the ones pushing out eventually match, and the star becomes stable. And in that stability it shines, sometimes for billions of years. Some stars are quiet and small, like red dwarfs. They burn slowly, barely flickering, yet they last longer than any other. Others are large and fierce, like blue giants, burning hot and fast, living short, brilliant lives. But regardless of size or brightness, they all follow the same melody. Hydrogen into helium, light from fusion, balance from within. If you look up at the night sky, every twinkle you see is a sun like ours, performing its own slow dance. Some of that light is ancient. Some left its star when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Some left before our planet had oceans. And some, so faint you cannot see it, will reach Earth long after we are gone. Stars are time travelers, storytellers. Their light is a kind of memory. Now imagine that light entering your eye. The photons, once buried in the center of a star, now pass through your cornea, your lens, your retina, and your brain quietly turns it into vision, into thought, into beauty. In this way, you are not just seeing the star, you are completing its journey. You are the final note in its song. And that song, for all its complexity, began with the simplest element, hydrogen, one proton, one electron, the very first building block of the universe, a particle so small yet so full of promise. With enough time and love from gravity, it becomes helium, then carbon, then you, then me. The universe does not hurry, it whispers, it waits. And in that waiting, it creates wonders beyond measure. Inside every star is a promise, not just of light, but of life. That from heat can come heartbeats, from fusion, family, from atoms, awareness, and from stars, the kind of beauty that makes you close your eyes and smile. So tonight, as you lie under the stars, remember this. The light on your skin was born in silence. It traveled across time and space to find you. And in finding you, it finished a journey billions of years in the making. What could be more gentle than that? Now let us wander to the quiet edge of a star's life, where all stories turn inward, where even light begins to slow its dance. When a star has gently burned through its fuel, first hydrogen, then helium, and then whatever heavier elements its size allows, it begins to change once again. Not in rage, not in violence, but in a slow sigh. Its fusion falters. Its core contracts. The outer layers, once bright and pulsing, begin to drift away. And in this unraveling, a new kind of beauty is born. Small stars, like our own sun, do not die in fire. They release their outer shells in glowing waves, forming what we call planetary nebulae. These shimmering pastel rings spread across space like the petals of a cosmic flower. At the center, what remains is a white dwarf, a pearl of light no larger than Earth, yet as heavy as a star. It no longer fuses, no longer shines with fire, but it glows quietly, with the heat left behind from its long life. A final ember in the fireplace of the galaxy. Larger stars, those who carried more weight in their hearts, meet a different end. Their cores collapse under their own gravity, and in a moment of silent thunder they explode. This is a supernova, a star's final gift to the universe. The explosion sends waves of particles and elements across the cosmos. Gold, silver, uranium, all the rarest atoms in existence are formed in this final breath. And just like that, the star becomes dust. Not ordinary dust, but the kind that seeds new worlds. This stardust drifts through the galaxy, carried by invisible winds. It settles in clouds and comets, in moons and meteors, in oceans and cells. Someday, perhaps, it settles in you, and in me. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is science wrapped in wonder. Every breath you take contains particles from ancient stars. Every heartbeat echoes a rhythm first played in stellar cores. You are not only connected to the stars, you are their continuation. Over time, that dust may form a new star, a new sun. Around it, planets may gather, coalescing from the leftovers of fusion and collapse. On one of those planets, water may gather, cells may stir, life may blink open its eyes. And in that moment, the story begins again, not in the blaze of light, but in the whisper of possibility. All of it from atoms born in stars. Even black holes, those dark mouths of gravity, are part of this journey. Some stars, too massive to end as supernovae alone, collapse into singularities, places where gravity becomes so strong that not even light can escape. They do not shine, but they shape galaxies. They hold matter in their arms, guiding the stars in their spiral dances. They do not destroy as we once believed. They hold, they sculpt, they wait. The universe does not erase what it creates. It recycles, it remembers. And in that remembering, it offers us a gift, perspective. To look at a distant star is not to see something far away, but something familiar. To touch your skin is to touch a million-year journey. You are in every way the child of fusion, a quiet miracle wrapped in starlight. And so we return to the breath of hydrogen that started it all. That first gentle moment when gravity coaxed a cloud into flame. From that breath came warmth, from that warmth came light, and from that light came life. It was never loud, never rushed, just patient, tender unfolding. You can almost feel it now, can't you? The hum of stars in your bones, the memory of nebulae in your veins, the silence of space not empty but full, full of waiting, of transformation, of gentle becoming. When you close your eyes tonight and the darkness surrounds you, do not fear it. For even in the blackest sky, the stars are still there, burning quietly, changing slowly, sending their stories across the universe in beams of ancient light. And among those beams, somewhere, is the story of you. This is the gentle split of atoms in the stars, not a war but a wonder, not a scream but a sigh. And in that sigh the universe became bright, became wide, became us. Let it cradle you now, this story of slow fire and soft beginnings. Let the light that left a star a million years ago find rest in your thoughts. Let it remind you that you are part of something vast, something patient, something quietly eternal. The stars do not rush, and neither must you. Everything meaningful takes time. Every transformation begins with a whisper, and every whisper, if heard gently enough, contains the sound of the cosmos becoming whole. Far above the trees, beyond the clouds, and past the blue of the daytime sky, lies a place where fire and light become one. But it is not the fire you know. It does not crackle or consume. It is a silent fire burning in the hearts of stars, fueled not by wood or oil, but by the union of the smallest things in the universe. This is fusion, the secret dance of the cosmos. A quiet process that brings light to the darkness, warmth to the cold, and energy to all living things. To understand fusion is to listen to the oldest rhythm in nature. At its core, it is about coming together. In the simplest form, fusion takes two hydrogen atoms, so light they nearly float, and presses them into one. But like all beautiful things in nature, it doesn't happen easily. There must be heat. There must be pressure. There must be a patient pull from gravity, drawing the atoms closer and closer until their tiny hearts can no longer stay apart. And then in the blink of deep time they join, not with a shout but with a release of light. That light travels outward slowly, softly, making its way through the layers of plasma until it escapes into space. It's the same light that touches your face when you stand in the sun, the same light that helps trees turn air into food, the same light that helps your body create warmth and color and thought. But it all begins in the core, in the fusion furnace that never roars but always glows. Unlike fire on Earth, which ends quickly, fusion in a star can last for billions of years. It is steady, it is graceful, it is kind. The fusion process is a delicate balance. Too little pressure and atoms drift apart. Too much and the star could collapse. But most stars, especially the quiet, middle-aged ones like our sun, live in harmony. Their gravity pulls inward just enough to keep the atoms close, while the energy from fusion pushes outward to prevent collapse. This perfect balance is what allows a star to shine with the same light day after day, century after century. You might think something as powerful as fusion would be loud or fast or violent, but the truth is softer. If you could sit inside a star, protected somehow like a gentle observer, you wouldn't hear a scream. You'd hear a pulse, a slow, warm beat, a kind of stellar heartbeat that speaks not in sound but in light. The sun, our own fusion furnace, has been burning like this for more than 4 billion years. Every second it fuses 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium. And yet, even after all that time, it still has enough fuel to last another 5 billion years. Fusion is not greedy. It is generous. It gives and gives and gives. The light created by fusion begins in the core and takes a long, winding journey outward. It can take tens of thousands of years for a single photon to escape the dense interior of the star. Along the way, it bounces and scatters, changing direction thousands of times, like a child playing in a maze of mirrors. But eventually, it reaches the surface, and from there, it leaps across space at the speed of light. Some of that light travels to distant planets. Some is captured by ice or clouds or the dust in a comet's tail. And some, just a small part, makes it to Earth. When you see the golden glow of sunrise, when you feel the warmth on your skin, when you watch sunlight sparkle on water, you are witnessing the end of a photon's journey, a journey that began deep inside the heart of fusion. Fusion is also a painter. It creates colors you can't even see. The blue of the sky, the red of a sunset, the green shimmer in leaves, all of these are gifts from fusion. Without fusion, there would be no weather, no seasons, no light for eyes to see or life to bloom. It is the quiet artist behind every vibrant landscape. And though fusion begins in stars, its spirit lives in us. The energy it gives is stored in the food we eat, the warmth we feel, the breath we take. Plants trap sunlight and turn it into sugar. We eat the plants or the animals that eat the plants, and the energy moves again, from star to leaf, from leaf to body, from body to thought. Every idea you've ever had was powered in some small way by fusion. This dance, this slow, perfect blending of fire and light, is not only ancient but ongoing. Right now, as you read these words, fusion is happening in the sun. It is happening in other stars, in other galaxies. Some of those stars have already finished their dance and returned their elements to the universe. Others are just beginning, hidden in the cradles of distant nebulae. The cosmos is filled with quiet music, and fusion is its most constant song. So the next time you feel the sun on your skin, pause for a moment, close your eyes, listen with your heart. The warmth you feel is not just heat, it is a story of atoms, of stars, of time, a story of union and transformation, a story of the universe choosing, again and again, to shine. Let's float deeper into the quiet furnace of fusion and listen not to explosions, but to the slow unfolding of time. In the heart of every star, fusion is not a single moment but a continuous conversation. It begins with hydrogen, the most common element in the universe, the simplest, the first. Just one proton, sometimes with a lone electron. Small, almost invisible. But when brought together in great numbers, hydrogen becomes the seed of brilliance. In a stable star like our Sun, hydrogen nuclei drift close under the gentle crush of gravity. When two protons get near enough, they overcome their natural urge to repel, and something miraculous happens. One transforms into a neutron, binding them into a heavier nucleus. This fusion releases energy, pure light in the form of gamma rays. These rays bounce, scatter, and tumble through layers of plasma for tens of thousands of years before finally reaching the surface. And when they do, they change. The light softens, stretches, becomes the gentle golden rays that greet a flower, a child, a wave. As hydrogen fuses into helium, the star slowly changes. It grows more luminous, slightly warmer, subtly larger. But it does not panic, it adjusts, it breathes. It holds its shape with quiet dignity. And when the core's hydrogen is nearly gone, the star must choose. If it is large enough, it begins to fuse helium. The process requires even more pressure, even more heat. 3 helium atoms must come together to form carbon. This new dance is more difficult, more delicate, but no less beautiful. It's called the triple alpha process, a quiet weaving of new matter from old light. These layers of fusion stack over time, hydrogen to helium, helium to carbon, then perhaps carbon to oxygen, oxygen to neon. Each level requires more energy, more gravity, more depth. A star must earn the right to fuse heavier elements, and only the most massive ones ever make it beyond carbon. In their cores, fusion builds heavier and heavier elements until it reaches iron. But here, the dance ends. Iron cannot give back energy through fusion. It takes more than it offers. It is the quiet wall at the end of the fusion hallway. When a star begins to build iron, it has reached the edge of its life. The core becomes too heavy. Gravity overtakes it. In large stars, this collapse happens suddenly. The outer layers fall inward, then rebound in a wave of energy so immense, the star explodes. A supernova, a brilliant goodbye. But we are not there yet. Let's return to the softer stages, the ones still singing, still glowing. Even in red giants, where helium burns and the star swells hundreds of times its original size, the fusion continues like a heartbeat. It keeps the star alive, holds the outer layers up, gives the light its rhythm. You can imagine these stars floating through space, glowing deep orange or crimson, their vast atmospheres rippling like fabric in the wind. Inside, fusion continues its quiet work, turning one kind of atom into another, shaping the building blocks of life. Every carbon atom in your body was once created this way in the belly of a star. Every calcium atom in your bones, every oxygen atom in your breath, every nitrogen atom in your blood. These elements were made through fusion, through pressure and patience and time. Stars are the forges of life, the alchemists of the cosmos. They do not demand attention, but they deserve awe. Fusion also brings balance to the universe. Without it, gravity would collapse all matter into cold, dense lumps. With it, the universe stays lit, warm, and structured. Stars guide the orbits of planets, heat the surfaces of moons, stir the chemistry of comets. They are lighthouses in the sea of space, and at their core always is fusion. It's easy to think of stars as distant, but fusion makes them intimate. That warmth on your face, that shimmer in your eye, that flicker of inspiration, they all begin in the cores of stars. You carry their light within you, not as a metaphor but as a truth. Every second, fusion continues across the universe, lighting galaxies, warming planets, stirring molecules. And its rhythm, soft, steady, is the quiet drumbeat of existence. Fusion is also a teacher. It reminds us that great things come from small beginnings, that patience and pressure can turn the simplest things into brilliance, that light can come from the deepest places. It teaches us about transformation, how change, though slow, can create beauty, how unity, though difficult, can give birth to life. And it teaches us humility. For all our technology, we have only just begun to mimic fusion on Earth. In labs and reactors, scientists try to recreate the sun's processes to build energy not through fire but through union. The challenge is immense. To hold something as hot as the center of a star inside a magnetic bottle, to control plasma that dances at millions of degrees. But the dream remains, because fusion is not just efficient, it is clean. It creates no waste. It gives more than it takes. It may one day power our cities the way it powers the stars. Until then, we look up. We look at the stars and remember that the glow of dusk, the warmth of summer, the shimmer on a quiet lake, all come from a process older than the earth, older than time itself. Fusion is the quiet artist behind all light, the soft song that makes life possible. So let's linger in this warmth a while longer. Let it hold us. Let it teach us. Because to understand fusion is not just to understand stars, it is to understand ourselves, what we are made of, what we are becoming, and what it means to burn without consuming, to give without taking, to glow without shouting. This is fusion's secret dance, slow, invisible, eternal, and everywhere. Now let us follow fusion to the edge of its journey, where the light it creates has already left the stars, already crossed the empty oceans of space, and now softly touches Earth. What begins as pressure and heat in a stellar heart eventually becomes the gentle warmth on your cheek during a spring afternoon, the glint in a dewdrop, the sparkle in a lover's eye. Fusion, having danced in the deep, now finishes its story here, on leaves, on waves, in you. Every photon of light carries a message, a story of where it was born, how long it traveled, and what it touched before arriving. The light from our sun, born in its core through fusion, takes thousands of years to reach the surface and just 8 minutes more to reach us. But some photons from stars far beyond have traveled millions or even billions of years. They are ancient whispers, older than Earth, slipping into our skis like forgotten lullabies. And all of them, whether from our sun or a distant star, began in fusion. This light gives Earth its seasons, its rhythms, its breath. It fuels photosynthesis, the magical process by which plants turn sunlight into food. That energy then moves through the world, through fruits and grains, through animals, through us. The energy that keeps your heart beating, your mind thinking, your fingers moving was born in a star. You are not only made of star stuff, you are powered by it. And this power is not explosive, it is not aggressive, it is slow, steady, gentle. It feeds rather than devours, it cradles rather than crushes. Fusion teaches us that energy need not roar to change the world. Sometimes it only needs to shine. Over billions of years, fusion has shaped the chemistry of the universe. The first stars, made only of hydrogen and helium, lived fast and died young. In their deaths, they scattered heavier elements across space. From those ashes came new stars, richer and more complex. The fusion in those stars birthed carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, ingredients for life. And the cycle continued, star after star, generation after generation. The cosmos evolving not through destruction but through quiet refinement. Look around you now. The air in your lungs, the water in your cup, the iron in your blood, all of it created by stars through fusion. This is not fantasy. This is physics. The same laws that hold an atom together in the core of a star hold your body together now. The same reactions that lit the first galaxies power your breath. There is no separation. You are part of that story still being written. But stars, like all things, change. As they run out of fuel, they transform. Small stars become white dwarfs, dense, glowing embers that cool over time. Massive stars collapse and explode, scattering their layers into space, their cores sometimes becoming neutron stars or black holes. And yet even in their endings they offer something. A supernova, though rare, creates new fusion, brief and brilliant, forming the heaviest elements in the universe. Gold, platinum, uranium. Treasures not born from greed, but from collapse. These elements drift in space, join clouds of gas, help form new stars and planets. Eventually, they become part of someone's ring, someone's tool, someone's heartbeat. You might wear a piece of a star's death on your hand. You might carry its memory in your veins. There is no line between you and the stars, only time. Fusion at its end becomes dust, but even dust is not an end. It becomes soil, stone, skin. It becomes stories. Every moment of light that touches this earth carries the promise that transformation is not only possible, it is constant. The universe changes not with sudden leaps but with soft steps, just like you. Perhaps one day humanity will learn to master fusion here on Earth. In laboratories, scientists already attempt to replicate it, to trap plasma in magnetic fields, to squeeze atoms until they join. It is difficult. It is delicate. But if they succeed, we may enter an age where light itself powers our homes, our cities, our dreams. An age when our energy no longer scars the earth but echoes the stars. When our fire becomes like theirs, clean, quiet, endless. But even if that day never comes, fusion has already given us everything. It gave us heat when earth was cold. It gave us light when the sky was dark. It gave us elements and with them the possibility of life. It gave us color and warmth and the ability to wonder. It gave us time. And in return, we only need to notice, to look up, to remember, to let the warmth of a sunbeam remind us that light is a gift, born of pressure, sustained by balance and offered without condition. We do not have to earn it, we only have to receive it. So when the world feels heavy, when the days feel dim, remember this. Above you, beyond you, within you, fusion still burns. The dance still continues. Stars still sing. Light still travels. And somewhere in that light is a memory of you. Not just a body beneath the sky, but a flame shaped by it. A breath, a spark, a part of the great unfolding. This is where fire becomes light, where atoms become energy, where stars become memory, where fusion, silent and sacred, writes its story in you. Before the earth had oceans, before mountains stretched toward the sky, before even time as we know it had meaning, there was helium. It was not loud in its arrival, nor sudden. It was born in silence, in warmth, in the press of atoms inside stars that had just begun to glow. To understand helium is to return to the beginnings, not just of stars, but of elements, of change, of life itself. For helium is not merely a gas that lifts balloons or fills the air with softness. It is the second note in the universe's quiet symphony. The first was hydrogen, the breath. The second, helium, the harmony. Inside the belly of every star, helium is born through the soft joining of hydrogen atoms. Imagine this, two protons, each a tiny sphere of energy, dancing toward one another under the guidance of gravity and heat. They don't want to meet. Their charges repel, but the star insists, gently but firmly. It squeezes them closer, closer still, until the barrier is broken, not with a bang but with surrender. In that instant, a new particle forms, a deuterium nucleus part proton, part neutron. It is the first step, the beginning of a chain, and the end of one kind of solitude. From there, another proton joins the dance. Energy is released, not noise but light, a glow deep inside the star. Slowly, steadily, this process repeats until at last helium is made. Two protons, two neutrons held together like an invisible breath. It is the product of patience, of pressure, of time. And what does helium do once born? It rests, it waits. It gathers quietly at the core, accumulating in the warm cradle of the star's center. For a long while it simply is. It does not yet fuse, does not yet transform. It allows hydrogen to finish its song, but its presence grows, its weight increases. It thickens like honey at the bottom of a jar. And in time, as hydrogen begins to fade, helium prepares to awaken. But this awakening is not like the first. Fusing helium requires more than just pressure. It needs heat, more heat than hydrogen ever did. The star must change. It must shrink and swell. Its outer layers balloon outward, becoming vast and red even as its core contracts. Inside that tightening center, temperatures soar, and suddenly, quietly, helium stirs. It begins to fuse, 3 atoms at a time, into carbon. This moment is called the helium flash, but it is not a flash like lightning. It happens deep inside, where no eye can see, where no sound escapes. It is a whisper of transformation, a star turning the second light into the third, and in doing so it becomes more than a furnace. It becomes a forge. Helium is also a message. It tells us how long a star has lived, what it has learned, how it has changed. Young stars have very little helium in their cores, but older stars carry more, like memories folded into their light. Scientists on Earth can read these messages, using the starlight like a letter from the past. They measure its color, its heat, its trembling patterns, and in those details they see helium. They see time. If you've ever looked at the soft pink glow of a neon sign, the shimmer of gas inside a tube, you've seen helium dance. It is light and weightless, yet born in the heaviest hearts of stars. It is rare on Earth but abundant in space. It does not react easily, does not bond with others, but floats through the world alone and calm. It is, in many ways, the element of gentleness. Helium's journey does not end with fusion. As stars age and cast off their outer layers, helium is carried into space. It floats freely, part of the stellar wind, part of the breath of dying stars. It becomes part of nebulae, those glowing clouds where new stars are born. And in those clouds it waits again to be gathered once more, drawn into a new star's heart, ready to begin its quiet life again. The cycle continues, from star to space, from space to star. Helium is not in a hurry. It is content to drift, to wait, to glow. It teaches us that change does not always come quickly, and that even the smallest parts of us can be made from ancient patience. And here on Earth, helium escapes. It rises through rock, through air, through atmosphere. It drifts toward the sky, pulled not by gravity but by its own softness. We capture it when we can. We use it to cool our machines, to fill our lungs with a strange, high voice to lift us above the ground. But always it longs to return to space. Always it floats upward. Always it remembers where it came from. Perhaps that is why we feel something when we watch balloons rise, disappearing into the clouds. It's not just the color or the shape or the motion. It's the memory. A deep, distant knowing that this gas, this lift, this flight began in a star. That it was born in fire, raised in light, and returned now to the sky from which it came. This is the quiet birth of helium in stellar hearts. A story without thunder, without war. A story of fusion, of patience, of rising. A reminder that even in the silence, even in the waiting, something beautiful is always becoming. Let us drift further into the gentle center of stars, where helium, once a byproduct of fusion, now becomes the heart of the story. In the life of a star, hydrogen is the beginning, but helium is the becoming. As hydrogen fades, the star does not fall silent. It adapts. It learns a new language of light. And helium, waiting patiently at the core, begins to glow with purpose. In that hidden place, surrounded by memories of past reactions, helium atoms begin their delicate dance. This dance is called the triple alpha process. It does not rush. It begins with two helium nuclei alpha particles drifting toward each other in the heat of a contracting core. They meet briefly, but this union is fragile. It lasts for just a moment unless a third helium atom arrives quickly. If it does, the result is carbon, stable and strong. And with that, the star creates something entirely new, a heavier element, a foundation of life. You might imagine this process as a kind of slow weaving, where light threads of helium are drawn together, not forcefully, but through warmth and closeness. The result is not just energy, but matter, something that can last, something that can build. From this point forward, the star is more than a light in the sky. It is a workshop, quietly crafting the ingredients for bones, for leaves, for thoughts. As more helium fuses, the star changes shape. It may swell into a red giant, its surface growing cool and wide while its core grows small and hot. The outer layers seem soft, like the folds of a silk curtain fluttering in a breeze, but beneath them is a core of incredible density and heat. That is where the transformation continues. Helium to carbon, carbon to oxygen, oxygen to neon. Each step a whisper deeper into the fabric of being. This process is not wild or explosive. It is steady, layered, patient. A song sung in thirds and fifths. Each element built inside the star becomes a part of its future. And when the star reaches the end of what it can fuse, it does not resist. It lets go. The outer layers drift away, floating into the cosmos, carrying helium and carbon and stardust into the night. This is how the universe renews itself, not with noise, but with giving. Helium in this role is a midwife of transformation. It helps birth carbon, the essential frame of organic life. Without helium fusion, there would be no molecules shaped like rings or chains, no sugars or proteins, no petals or pupils. It is easy to overlook an invisible gas, to forget its part in everything. But helium is a silent cornerstone, a ghost writer in the chemistry of being. Here on Earth, helium is rare. Our planet is heavy and helium is light. It rises, floats, escapes. Most of it, once released, is lost to space. That's why we value it. That's why we capture it from deep underground, where it has been trapped in pockets of ancient gas, remnants of radioactive decay. Even now, helium on Earth comes from time, from slowness, from within. And though we use it for cooling superconductors, for inflating balloons, for diving deep beneath the sea, we cannot keep it. It always drifts away, up and up, until it is gone. In this way, helium reminds us that not all gifts are ours to own. Some are only ours to borrow, to honor, and to release. In the stars, helium stays longer. It finds purpose in fusion, in becoming. And even after it fuses into something else, its presence remains. It is in the breath of a whale, the roots of a tree, the rings of Saturn, the cloud of your sigh. It is the second voice in the great cosmic duet. Scientists can detect helium in the spectra of stars by the lines it leaves in their light. These fingerprints are like whispers across distance, saying, "I am here, I was made, I am still glowing." In the most ancient stars, helium speaks of youth. In middle-aged stars, it speaks of change. And in the oldest, helium is a memory, fatting into heavier songs. When we look at helium in the lab, we see a colorless, odorless gas. But when we look with wonder, we see more. We see a journey from starlight to stardust. We see a witness to creation. We see a traveler who has been carried in light years and lifetimes. Helium never fights, it floats, it lifts, it gives. And this is its lesson, that change need not be violent, that growth can be soft, that creation can come from waiting, from warming, from joining. The triple alpha process does not rush. It happens only when the conditions are right, and yet from it comes everything. From stillness, fire, from simplicity, structure, from helium, us. So let us not measure helium by its weight or cost, but by its journey. Let us remember that inside every star, there was once a quiet moment when helium began to fuse, and from that fusion came complexity, came carbon, came possibility. Helium is the thread that ties the hydrogen beginning to the carbon future, and in that thread we are woven. In the end, stars are not just lights, they are storytellers. and helium is one of their first words, a soft word, a hopeful word, a beginning that waits before it becomes, a note that echoes through time, reminding us that the smallest things can become the greatest gifts when given the space to shine. Now let us follow helium beyond the stars, into the afterglow of its purpose, where it no longer waits in the furnace of a sun but drifts freely into the wide, whispering dark. When a star has used its helium, when it has fused it into carbon and perhaps even oxygen, it begins to tire. The fire that once burned steadily now fades. The pressure softens. The rhythm of fusion slows like a lullaby nearing its final note. And as the star exhales for the last time, it sheds its outer layers, floating them gently into space. These layers, once held tightly by gravity and light, become clouds of gas and dust. They glow softly in the fatting heat, forming what we call a planetary nebula, not a planet but a shell, a shimmering reminder of what the star once was. Inside, at the center, a white dwarf remains, the quiet ember of what once pulsed with fusion. It no longer fuses atoms, but it remembers them. It holds their heat, their density, their silence. Among those drifting layers is helium, no longer being made but still glowing, still light. It has traveled far from the core where it was born, now part of a wider sea of particles that will someday find their way into something new. Perhaps a new star, perhaps a comet, perhaps the veins of a child not yet imagined. Because helium, like all elements, is never truly lost. It becomes part of what comes next. And what comes next is astonishing. These gases, scattered by the dying breath of stars, do not fade into emptiness. They become part of great clouds that span light years, stellar nurseries rich with potential. In time, gravity will call them together again. In time, hydrogen will gather, and then helium, and then fusion will begin anew. A new star will be born from the ashes of the old. And in its heart, the story of helium will start again, quiet as always, steady as breath. We may never hear that moment. We may never see it directly. But the light from that future star will one day touch our world or another. It will shine on soil, on skin, on waves, and no one will know that it began long ago in another life, another star. But the light will remember. Even now, the helium that was formed during the Big Bang, the universe's very first breath, still lingers. Scientists can measure it, trace its presence in deep space, in the spaces between galaxies. It is like a soft echo from a time before stars, before planets, before us. That helium was never fused into carbon. It floats still, unaltered, a silent witness to the birth of everything. And perhaps in its silence it carries wisdom we have yet to understand. Here on Earth, helium is fleeting. It slips away from us easily, rising into the sky, lost to gravity. It cannot be created in bulk by human hands. It must be found in the slow decay of ancient minerals, or drawn from the edge of space where it lingers. In that way, it teaches us respect. It reminds us that not everything can be made on command. Some things must be found, nurtured, and let go. There is a kind of beauty in this. A balloon filled with helium is a momentary thing. It rises, dances, and disappears. But in that motion is the same softness that lifted gases from dying stars. The same lightness that carried the breath of fusion into the quiet. Every child's laughter as they release a floating shape into the sky becomes, unknowingly, a farewell to a particle that once burned at 100 million degrees. And when that helium escapes our world, it returns home, to the stars, to the night, to the dark that holds all beginnings. It becomes part of the great exchange, matter and memory trading places over the slow rhythm of time. Helium is the quiet traveler. It does not stay, but it leaves behind brightness wherever it goes. So when you look up into the sky, when you see a star twinkle or a nebula shimmer, think of helium, not as a gas, but as a thread. A thread that ties the early universe to the stars of today to the life on Earth, and life on Earth to the future yet to come. Helium is the second word in the language of light, and without it, the story could not continue. And perhaps in that softness, in that stillness, lies the lesson we need most. That not all power is loud. That not all beginnings are grand. that sometimes the greatest transformations begin quietly in the fold of pressure, the hush of warmth, the meeting of three atoms in a hidden core. Helium does not roar, yet it changes everything. It is born without fuss. It fuses without fire. It floats without fear. And in its silence, the universe is shaped. The quiet birth of helium in stellar hearts is not just a moment in physics. It is a poem, a prayer, a promise that even the smallest, softest things can hold the light of creation within them. Somewhere in the quiet spaces between galaxies, where light travels for eons before touching anything at all, there are atoms that remember. They drift alone or in clouds, some cold and slow, some warmed by distant suns. And though they have no voices, no eyes, no thoughts, they carry within them a story, a fusion of time, of light. These are the atoms shaped in stars, scattered by winds and gravity, carried across the cosmos, and gathered again into planets, oceans, trees, and breath. In every one of them is a memory, not written in words but in structure, not stored on paper but etched in their very shape. This is the memory of starlight. An atom is small beyond imagining. If you were to hold a single grain of sand in your palm, it would contain more atoms than stars in the visible universe. Yet each of those atoms, though simple, has a history. Hydrogen, the simplest of all, remembers the very beginning, the moment the universe cooled enough to allow particles to form. Born from the breath of the Big Bang, hydrogen is older than galaxies, older than stars, older than time as we understand it. It is the original note in the cosmic song. When hydrogen fuses into helium inside a star, the process adds a new chapter. Helium atoms, formed under pressure and heat, hold the memory of that transformation. Their bonds, their weight, their spin each tells a part of the story. And when helium becomes carbon, the story deepens. Each new element made in the heart of a star holds within it the echo of light, of heat, of the star's quiet pulse. These atoms do not forget where they were born. And when the star dies gently or with fire, it releases those atoms into space. A supernova explodes, casting iron and gold, carbon and oxygen into the darkness. A red giant sheds its layers, exhaling its elements into the wind, and so the memory spreads. It does not fade, it travels, it waits. Eventually, some of these atoms find themselves pulled into a new star or a planet or a moon. Some become part of oceans, some rest in rock, some flow into roots, and some somehow find their way into you. The calcium in your teeth, the oxygen in your lungs, the iron in your blood, all of it born in stars, all of it still holding the memory of those ancient furnaces, still whispering of light. You don't hear it, of course. The atoms do not speak, but they carry information in their structure, in how they spin, how they bond, how they move. Scientists can look at these atoms and read their histories, just as geologists read layers of rock or historians read scrolls. A carbon atom on Earth is not exactly the same as one created in a distant galaxy, because its journey has left its mark. In this way, the universe remembers itself, not in stories or songs, but in atoms, each one a record of temperature, of time, of transformation. When you breathe, you exchange these ancient particles with the world. You inhale atoms that may have once been part of a starfish, a volcano, a comet, a sun. You exhale them into the air where they continue their journey. You are not only made of memories, you share them. Even light carries memory. A photon born in the core of a star may travel for thousands or millions of years before it touches anything. In that time it stretches, redshifts, changes. It is shaped by gravity, by dust, by space itself. When it finally arrives on a flower, on your skin, on a telescope's lens, it brings with it a message, not in language but in presence. I was there, it says. I came from far away. The atoms in water remember being ice. The atoms in your bones remember being stone. The atoms in air remember stars. They do not choose to remember, but they cannot help it. Memory is built into their structure, not emotion but existence, not story but sequence. This idea is not fantasy. It is physics. The way an atom vibrates, the way it absorbs or emits light, the way it behaves under pressure, all of it depends on where it's been, what it's become. Atoms formed in high-energy events behave differently from those shaped gently in cool clouds. And when scientists look closely, they can tell. They can measure. They can see the fingerprints of a star written in the particles of a leaf. And so, when you lie beneath the night sky, you are not looking at something distant. You are looking at something familiar, something inside you, something you've always carried. The stars are not only above, they are within. They are the authors of your blood, your breath, your bones. And the atoms that form you are the readers of their stories. This is the quiet magic of matter, that it does not forget, that it carries its journey always, that even in silence, even in stillness, even in sleep, it holds the past inside itself. Your body is not a blank page. It is a library. Your cells are not mere machines. They are archives. Every beat of your heart is powered by atoms with a history older than Earth. Every blink of your eye is lit by photons that left their stars long before you were born. And so, when you feel alone, when you feel small, remember, you are the result of remembering. The cosmos made you by gathering its memories into form. The stars lit your path not only with light, but with matter, with structure, with memory. And now, you continue that story. What you do, where you go, how you live, these things will be written into the atoms you touch, the atoms you share, the atoms you become. You are not only a receiver of memory, you are a giver of it too. This is how atoms remember the sky, quietly, gently, endlessly. Let's drift deeper now, into the intricate memory held within each atom, and the silent ways they pass it on. Unlike books that gather dust, or voices that fade into echoes, atoms never forget where they have been, not because they think or feel, but because they change, and every change leaves a trace. Just as a river smooths the stones it passes, the universe carves its history into the particles it creates. And these particles, scattered across galaxies, carry the fingerprint of every star, every collision, every quiet transformation. Take carbon, for instance. This element, so vital to life, was once forged in the hearts of aging stars during the triple alpha process where helium atoms merged, not with speed, but with delicacy. That carbon has since traveled unimaginable distances. Some of it ended up in the dark soil beneath forests, feeding roots. Some of it became part of meteors that crashed into young planets. Some of it is in your breath now, shared and exchanged with the trees around you, the people beside you, the animals that walk the earth. Each carbon atom holds its structure not by chance, but by the path it has taken through fusion, space, and time. Atoms don't record memories as we do. They are the memory. Their weight, their spin, their binding energy, the space they occupy, each a reflection of the conditions under which they were born. When scientists split atoms or collide them at high speeds, what they find are not just particles but stories. Echoes of ancient temperatures, shadows of pressures that no longer exist, glimpses of stars long vanished. Consider the oxygen you breathe. It was made not in the early universe, but inside massive stars that burned hot and lived short lives. These stars ended in supernovae, great cosmic exhalations that scattered oxygen through the galaxy. That oxygen bonded with hydrogen, formed water, fell as rain, filled rivers, carved valleys, gave rise to cells, breath, fire. The oxygen in your lungs today came from that lineage. You are not only breathing, it is as if the universe is remembering itself through you. And what of iron, the silent strength within your blood? Its creation required violence, yes, but even in the heart of that explosion there was order. Iron is born when stars can fuse no more. When they collapse, they shed everything they've built, and in doing so, they leave behind elements that are too heavy to form by fusion alone. The iron in your blood began in the death cry of a star. Its magnetic pull, its ability to carry oxygen, its role in your survival, none of this is random. It is the result of steps taken before your world ever cooled enough to hold oceans. Memory also exists in the patterns of atoms. Crystals form when atoms arrange themselves in repeating, orderly structures. Snowflakes, diamonds, salt, each is a record of conditions: temperature, humidity, pressure. Scientists can study these forms and tell what the world was like when they were made. A piece of ancient ice can reveal the atmosphere from 100,000 years ago. A grain of zircon can tell us when the first crust formed on Earth. These are the diaries of matter, their language subtle but exact. Even light interacts with atoms in ways that reveal the past. When starlight passes through gas, certain wavelengths are absorbed, leaving behind dark lines in the spectrum. These absorption lines are signatures, telling us what the light passed through, how fast the object is moving, how far away it is. From these faint imprints, we map galaxies, measure expansion, glimpse the early days of creation. The atoms that absorb light today are the same that shaped it billions of years ago. The light and the matter are in conversation across time. And within you too, the conversation continues. Your body replaces its atoms constantly, yet you remain. That persistence is not because the atoms themselves stay, but because the pattern they follow, the way they connect, the dance they perform endures. The memory is not just in what the atoms are, but in what they do. They build the same tissues, respond to the same signals, carry the same spark of being. You are, at every moment, a renewal of memory shaped by matter. There is comfort in this, that nothing is truly lost, that even when a star collapses, even when a planet dies, even when a living thing returns to dust, the atoms remain. They carry forward not unchanged but enriched. With every fusion, every flame, every breath, they add to their record, and with every step forward they continue the story. Think of this when you hold a rock. Its atoms may have once been part of a volcano, a seabed, a mountain now gone. Think of this when you touch water. Those molecules have circled through clouds, rivers, hearts. Think of this when you breathe. You are not inhaling emptiness. You are taking in the memory of the stars, of forests, of others who have lived and dreamed. There is something deeply human about wanting to be remembered. We write books, take photos, build monuments, but the universe remembers everything, quietly, constantly, without effort. It does not forget the stars that lived briefly, the planets that never bore life, the galaxies that drift too far to be seen. Their atoms are still here. Their light still travels. Their presence still shapes what comes next. And so the atoms within you are not simply yours. They are on loan. They have been elsewhere and will go elsewhere. But while they are with you, they carry your story too. When you speak, when you move, when you love, the atoms learn you. They become you. And one day, when they move on, they will carry that with them. This is the deeper truth of starlight's memory, that the past is never gone, that every atom is a vessel, that the sky does not only shine, it remembers. Now let us bring this memory home, to the earth, to the air around us, to the smallest gestures of life that shimmer with the echoes of starlight. In the soft rustle of leaves, in the breath of wind through trees, in the heartbeat of a resting bird, there is a whisper of something older, something deeper. The atoms that form every leaf, every feather, every breath, remember where they came from. They carry within them not only the shape of the world they now serve, but also the temperature of the stars that birthed them, the pressure of fusion that forged them, the silence of space that carried them. They remember the sky not as a place, but as a beginning. Each time you lift your hand, every cell in your body acts in coordination, powered by chemistry so precise and so silent it feels like magic. But it is not magic, it is memory. Calcium signals travel across cell walls, carried by proteins made of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen. These atoms, these elements, do not come from nowhere. They were sculpted by time, by heat, by starlight. Their ability to bond, to respond, to build, none of it is random. It is all inherited. You are made of memory, acting in motion. And the earth, too, is a monument of remembrance. Its crust holds minerals formed in ancient seas. Its core still spins with the heat of its birth. Its magnetic field is shaped by iron that remembers being fluid. Mountains rise and fall, not from impulse but from long memory of collisions between plates, of cycles of erosion and renewal. Even the oceans remember. The salt in seawater was carried there over millions of years, washed from rock, collected from the breath of volcanoes, traced from the bones of long-forgotten creatures. Animals remember through instinct, through the patterns of behavior encoded not in mind, but in body. A migrating bird does not reason its way across the sky. It moves because its molecules have learned the seasons. A seed grows toward light because its cells carry the blueprint of survival etched into the shape of their atoms. Even bacteria swim toward sugar because somewhere in their structure is a trace of the paths that led them to thrive. Memory, in this sense, is not separate from nature. It is nature. It is not a function of intelligence, but of existence. The shape of a shell remembers the tides. The spiral of a galaxy remembers its rotation. The curve of a sand dune remembers the wind. Every pattern you see in the world is a trace left behind by time, by force, by light. It is the universe writing itself again and again, each time with slightly different ink. And you, reader of this quiet script, are part of it. When you speak, your voice is made by lungs that pull in ancient air, by vocal cords shaped by evolution, by words taught to you through a lineage of shared thought. But even deeper than that, your voice is made by atoms that once sang in stars. And they still sing, not in sound, but in light, in vibration, in the steady movement that powers your cells, your thoughts, your dreams. The light in your eyes is not just metaphor. It is real. Photons bounce off the world and enter your eyes, where they strike cells that convert them into electrical signals. Those signals become images, memories, emotions. The act of seeing is the act of receiving starlight and letting it become part of your mind. Every color you notice, every shadow, every glimmer, is a message from the past, interpreted through atoms that still remember how to glow. Even when you sleep, your body hums with remembered light. Your heartbeat is driven by calcium and potassium ions, flowing back and forth like a tide that knows its rhythm. Your dreams are stitched together by neurons fueled by oxygen, carried through blood filled with iron, iron born in a supernova. The stars are not just above you. They are inside you. They are you. And one day, long from now, your atoms will continue on. They will scatter into soil, into wind, into flame, into other forms of life. They will be part of someone else's breath, someone else's thought, someone else's skyward gaze. Your body is temporary, but your matter is not. The story does not end with you, it continues through you. So let starlight's memory comfort you. Let it remind you that nothing is truly lost, that every part of you has a past and a future, that the universe is not separate from who you are. It is the reason you are. When you look up, see not just stars, but home. See the place your atoms were born and the place they may return. See the light that left a star long ago and chose you for a moment to rest in, to shine through, to speak. This is how the universe remembers, not through language but through light, not through thought but through time, not through stories told but through particles that endure. And now, as the stars continue to burn in silence, and your breath rises in the dark, let it be enough to know this. You are a part of everything, and everything in some quiet way remembers you. In the vast quiet of the universe, long after a star has lived its life, there remains a soft residue, a drift of particles floating gently through the black. It is not loud, it is not bright, but it is precious. This dust, born from the breath of dying suns, carries within it the ingredients of everything. You, me, mountains, rivers. The dust of stars is not just ash, it is the clay from which all things are shaped. And though it floats unseen, though it scatters slowly across space, it is always moving, always becoming something new. When a star nears the end of its life, its light begins to change. The delicate balance between gravity pulling inward and fusion pushing outward begins to falter. For smaller stars like our sun, the change is gentle. They puff outward into red giants, shedding their outer layers into space. What's left behind is a glowing white dwarf, a tiny ember of what was once a blazing fire. But for the more massive stars, the giants among giants, the ending is far more dramatic. They collapse under their own weight, and in one final moment of brilliance, they explode in a supernova. This explosion is not simply destruction, it is creation at its most generous. In the brief, blinding light of a supernova, temperatures soar so high that atoms are smashed together into new forms. Elements heavier than iron, gold, silver, uranium are made in those seconds. The explosion sends these newborn elements flying into the void, where they cool, condense, and become the dust of dying suns. That dust floats. It gathers in clouds, vast, silent, drifting regions of space where gas and particles swirl in slow motion. These clouds are the nurseries of the cosmos. Over millions of years, gravity begins to gather the dust into clumps. Some clumps collapse into new stars. Others form planets, moons, asteroids. Some remain adrift, waiting for their time to join something greater. But wherever that dust goes, it brings with it the memory of a star that once lived. You are made of that dust. Every element in your body heavier than hydrogen was formed in a star. The calcium in your teeth, the potassium in your nerves, the phosphorus in your DNA. These did not come from Earth, they came to Earth. They fell here in the bodies of meteors, in the wind of dying stars, in the ash of cosmic fire. It is easy to forget this, surrounded by cities and screens and sound. But deep in your cells, the story is written. The iron that carries oxygen in your blood was once inside the core of a massive star, fusing quietly until it could fuse no more. The zinc in your skin, the copper in your bones, the iodine in your thyroid, all were forged in starlight and hurled through space long before there was breath or language. The Earth itself was formed from dust. In the early days of the solar system, clouds of gas and particles spun around a newborn sun. Dust collided, stuck, grew. Some pieces became pebbles, then rocks, then planets. Others fell into stars, never to return. The dust that did not burn became earth, became soil, became water. And from that, life emerged. That same dust moves through you even now. You breathe it. You drink it. You are rebuilt from it every day. Cells die, new ones are made. Matter is borrowed, exchanged, renewed. Nothing is truly yours. Nothing is truly lost. We are made, remade, and made again from the same shared dust, passed from star to planet to person and back again. And when we die, we return it. Our atoms do not vanish. They scatter. They become air, ash, earth. They rise into trees, sink into rivers, feed the roots of future life. Our thoughts may end, our voices may fade, but the dust remains. It carries us forward in form, if not in memory. There is comfort in this, a kind of quiet eternity that asks for nothing and promises everything, that even in ending there is giving, that we are never separate from the stars, never apart from the cosmos. We are its echo, its reflection, its dust. Look at the night sky. The light from those stars began its journey before you were born. Some of it comes from stars already gone, yet their light remains, still crossing the dark. In the same way, the atoms from stars long vanished still live in you, still shine in your eyes, still carry heat in your hands. You are a continuation of stars, not in symbol but in structure. This is not a poetic idea, it is a physical truth. The atoms do not lie. They carry their origins in their spin, their charge, their pattern. And every one of them tells the same story. I was part of a star. I was shaped in heat. I was scattered in light. I came to rest in you. So when you walk through the world, walk as a constellation. When you breathe, breathe as the wind of stars. When you love, love with the warmth of ancient light. You are not apart from the universe. You are its most delicate arrangement. The dust of dying suns, gathered into thought and motion, into kindness and curiosity, into wonder. This dust is patient. It will outlive us. It will become something else. A seed, a flame, a ripple on the surface of a distant world, and that too will pass. But nothing is ever truly gone. In the silence between stars, the dust waits. It remembers. It transforms. And it begins again. Let us now follow the journey of that dust, not as a scientist might with instruments and data, but as a wanderer would with quiet awe. Imagine a single grain of cosmic dust, invisible to the eye, floating across the void. It has no map, no engine, no purpose. And yet it travels, not in haste but in grace, pushed by light, tugged by gravity, drawn toward new beginnings. This dust, born in the furnace of a dying star, carries within it the possibility of everything, of oceans, of eyes, of thought. As it drifts through space, it encounters other particles. Some repel, some attract. There is no plan, only movement. Over time, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of years, this dust may become part of a molecular cloud, a vast, cold nursery in the galaxy, thick with gas and scattered light. Inside such clouds, something remarkable happens. Pressure builds, shadows deepen, and in certain places, the dust begins to gather. These gatherings are slow. At first, they are like whispers barely there, but as more and more particles collect, gravity takes hold. What began as a wisp becomes a knot, and the knot becomes a core. The temperature rises. The dust clumps together not as ash but as the first seeds of stars and planets. This is how solar systems are born, not from fire, but from quiet, from patience, from the slow return of scattered things. And the dust plays many roles. Some of it forms the heart of a new star, crushed into heat and fusion. Some becomes the rocky bodies that spin around it, planets, moons, asteroids. Some never settles at all, remaining as rings or clouds, reminders of what might yet be. But wherever the dust lands, it brings its history. It brings its elements. It brings the memory of the star that made it. On Earth, we see this dust in the colors of soil, in the richness of clay, and the sparkle of sand. It feeds the roots of trees, mixes with water to form mountains, sinks into caves to become crystal. It is the substance from which life draws strength, not only chemically but meaningfully. Without the nutrients delivered by ancient dust, iron, zinc, magnesium, life as we know it could not exist. Cells would not divide, blood would not flow, minds would not form. Even in the atmosphere, star dust dances. Tiny particles, too small to settle, drift on the wind. Some of it comes from distant volcanoes, some from meteor trails, some from long-dead stars. These particles reflect sunlight, shape clouds, seed rain. They move across the globe, unseen but essential. They are in every breath we take, every drop we drink, every step we leave behind. And we carry this dust forward. It passes through generations, through forests and animals and civilizations. The same atoms that once burned in the core of a dying star may now be part of a whale's rib, a tree's bark, a child's heartbeat. Time does not erase these connections, it deepens them. The dust learns, adapts, becomes. It holds not only the memory of the past, but the promise of what might come. In ancient times, people looked at the stars and saw gods, animals, stories. They did not know about atoms or fusion, but they felt the connection. They sensed in some quiet way that the stars were not just above, they were part of us. And they were right. What they intuited through wonder, we now understand through science, that the same materials that form the stars form us, that we are shaped by the same processes, that we belong to the same unfolding. This changes how we see ourselves. We are not isolated creatures, stranded on a pale blue dot. We are part of a great cycle, a cosmic rhythm that turns dust into stars, stars into dust, and dust into life. We are part of a story that began before time and will continue long after we are gone. It also invites a kind of humility. The dust that makes up your body is not special in its origin, it is special in its arrangement. The universe did not make you out of new materials. It used what it already had, borrowed atoms, old light, ancient matter. And yet here you are, alive, aware, capable of joy, of sorrow, of wonder. That is the miracle, not the dust itself, but what it becomes. In that way, dust is sacred, not because it is rare, but because it is shared. Because it passes through everything, linking stars to soil, oceans to comets, minds to galaxies. Dust is the thread that sews the universe together. And when we treat it with reverence, when we walk gently on the earth, when we breathe deeply of the sky, when we look up with quiet gratitude, we are honoring not just the past, but the possibility of the future. There is still so much dust to gather, so many stars yet to die, so many worlds yet to form. Somewhere in a distant nebula, the dust that will one day be part of a new life is just now beginning to swirl. It does not know where it will land. It does not hurry. It moves slowly, silently, as it always has, but it moves with purpose, and in that motion is hope. So the next time you hold a stone, run your hand through soil, or gaze at a falling star, remember, you are holding history. You are touching the remains of suns. You are witnessing the quiet miracle of transformation. You are part of the dust's journey, and it is part of yours. This is what we are made of, not just molecules, not just matter, but memory, light, time, the soft remains of dying suns given a second life in the shape of a heartbeat. Now let us come to rest in this journey through dust, not to end it, but to recognize where it has brought us. Here, on this planet shaped by old starlight and cooled by ancient winds, life has taken root in the most delicate ways. From the smallest cell to the tallest tree, from the shimmer of water to the glow in human eyes, everything you see is made of the same cosmic dust. And though we often forget, it is in us still, quietly guiding the structure of bones, the pulse of blood, the electricity of thought. Every breath you take carries atoms that once drifted in space. Oxygen molecules formed by stars now fill your lungs. The nitrogen in your DNA, the carbon in your muscles, the calcium in your teeth, they were all once part of stars that lived and died long before Earth ever cooled. And when you speak, the breath that carries your words is made of those same elements. You are not just stardust. You are a way for stardust to speak, to wonder, to feel. This is not poetry alone. It is science, written in the fabric of your cells. Your body is a pattern built by gravity and chemistry, by time and chance. But within that pattern is awareness, and within awareness, meaning. The dust became life, and life became memory. Memory became thought, and thought, in its most gentle form, became gratitude. For billions of years, dust wandered. It floated without direction. It clumped. It scattered. It burned. It cooled. And eventually it became this, a person sitting in quiet, feeling the warmth of sunlight on skin, hearing the hush of leaves, tasting water that fell as rain. The journey of the universe became the moment of you. And when your life changes, when you grow, when you hurt, when you heal, that dust rearranges again. Cells divide, tissues stretch, bones knit, atoms move, always responding, always remembering. Even in illness, even in rest, the dust does not leave. It simply waits. It stays with you, doing its quiet work. One day, as with all living things, you will return your dust. Your atoms will slip back into the air, the earth, the sea. They will rise into clouds, settle into soil, flow into rivers. They may feed a tree, form a stone, become part of another life, but they will not disappear. Nothing truly does. The dust will carry you forward just as it carried stars before you, and in this way you will never fully end. You will simply change. Even now, that change continues. The atoms in your body were not all born at the same time. Some are older than the earth. Some are newer, borrowed from water, from food, from breath. You are not one age, you are a mosaic of ages, a living quilt of time. And each part of you tells a different piece of the story. Each part of you carries a different memory of the universe. So let us take a moment here in the stillness between stars and the rush of days to appreciate the gift of this dust, to remember what it holds, the fire of fusion, the silence of space, the echo of ancient light, to understand that our lives are not accidents of matter, but the flowering of something vast and slow and beautiful. It is easy to feel small in the face of galaxies, easy to believe we are too brief, too fragile, too far from meaning. But the dust reminds us otherwise. The dust, which has seen stars die and rise again, knows that even the smallest form can hold immense light, that even a fleeting moment can contain the memory of ages. So walk gently, breathe deeply. Let your hands touch the world with the reverence of one who knows what it is made of. Speak softly, for your voice carries the echoes of stars. And when you sleep, know that you are resting in a body crafted by time, held together by light, and wrapped in the quiet memory of everything that came before. This is what it means to be human, not separate from the universe but born from it, made of its dust, shaped by its silence, alive with its fire. And this, too, is what we return to, not an ending but a continuing. The dust that was once a sun, that became a seed, that became a soul, will become again, always becoming, always remembering, always quietly glowing. This is the dust of dying suns. And it is you. Far beyond the reach of any hand, where galaxies swirl like quiet wind-blown leaves, there comes a moment when even the most powerful stars must let go. After burning for millions of years, after creating element after element deep within their hearts, a massive star reaches the edge of what fusion can provide. Its core fills with iron, heavy, unyielding, and the balance it once held begins to falter. Gravity presses inward with relentless patience, and the star, unable to push back, begins to collapse. But in that collapse, in that final surrender, something astonishing happens. The star explodes, not in anger, not in fury, but in one final, luminous lullaby. A supernova. A goodbye so bright, the universe must pause to watch. This is not a quiet death. It is a birth in disguise. For in the blinding flash of a supernova, new elements are born: gold, platinum, uranium, elements too heavy to be made in the calm burning of a normal star. These are the gifts that can only be forged in catastrophe, in the final breath of a dying sun. In less than a second, shockwaves rip through the core, smashing atoms together with such force that even the densest elements form. Light floods outward, traveling for eons until one day, perhaps today, it touches your skin, carries into your eye, reflects off a ring, or rests on the quiet surface of a lake. And when it does, it carries a story of a star that once lived and sang and shone, a star that gave everything in its final moment. And from that moment, from that single, brilliant burst, came all the gold that now glitters on Earth, every flake of it, every atom, not mined, not made, but gifted, from a star's last breath to the waiting arms of the cosmos. Supernovae are rare, but their impact is eternal. In every galaxy there are reminders of them, clouds of colored gas expanding through space, dotted with stardust shaped by shockwaves. These remnants are soft echoes of a violent past, but they no longer burn, they glow. Their colors, reds, greens, purples, are not fiery but gentle, painted by atoms excited by light. They are the lullabies of stars, still humming long after the singing has stopped. Our own solar system carries traces of such a birth. Long before Earth was Earth, before the sun had planets, a nearby supernova enriched the gas and dust that would become our home. The iron in your blood, the iodine in your diet, the nickel in your keys, all owe their existence to such a star. Without supernovae, life as we know it would lack the ingredients it needs to form and grow. This is the paradox of the universe, that out of destruction comes creation, that endings, when given time, unfold into beginnings. A supernova is not simply an explosion, it is a scattering, a seeding, a way for the universe to spread its wealth to the places where new stars will be born, new planets will form, and eventually, perhaps, new eyes will open. But not every end becomes a lullaby. Some stars collapse so completely that they leave behind something darker, neutron stars or black holes. A neutron star is like the memory of a star compressed into the size of a city, its atoms packed so tightly they become a new form of matter. A black hole is even stranger, a place where gravity is so strong that even light cannot escape. And yet, even these are not voids. They shape the galaxies. They guide the motion of stars. They are not ends but thresholds. Still, the supernova remains one of the most beautiful of all transitions. For just a moment, a single star can outshine its entire galaxy. Its light reaches across time. Its energy travels through dust and silence and space until it brushes the face of a world it never knew. And when it does, it leaves behind not only light but matter. That is how Earth received its gold, its silver, its rarest materials. And when you wear gold around your wrist or on your finger or near your heart, you are wearing the final song of a star. Not a fire, but a melody. A slow, shimmering goodbye, cooled into something solid, something precious, something still humming if only you listen closely enough. This is the lullaby of supernovae, not an ending, a gift, a final act of creation before returning to the dark, a reminder that even in collapse the universe gives, that even in the breaking of stars beauty is born. And perhaps in the quiet of night, when the stars above you flicker with ancient light, you can feel it, that hum, that echo, that song of endings that became beginnings. Perhaps you are already carrying part of it within you. Because you are. In your bones, in your blood, in your breath. The gold in your ring, the calcium in your teeth, the sulfur in your muscles, they are not separate from the sky. They are echoes of it, embers of it. They are the lullabies of stars still singing in the body of earth. And in you. Now let us drift into the heart of that luminous collapse, into the moment when time folds and stars give their final breath. A supernova is not a single moment, but a cascade. One action leads to another, a chain of falling dominoes made of atoms and gravity and light. It begins in silence when fusion can no longer hold back the weight of a star's core. Iron fills the center, not by choice but by exhaustion. Iron cannot give energy through fusion. It is the dead end. And when the core fills with it, the star begins to collapse inward, fast, unstoppable, like a breath being held too long. The pressure grows until atoms themselves begin to break. Protons and electrons are forced together, forming neutrons. In an instant, the star shrinks from the size of a world to the size of a city. The outer layers, crashing inward at unimaginable speeds, slam into this core and bounce. What had been falling now bursts outward. And in that rebound, in that shuddering exhale, the star detonates. The explosion is fierce, but it is not chaos. It is choreography. Every element formed in that final instant finds its place. Gold atoms flash into being. Platinum dances into form. Elements too heavy, too rare to exist in the gentle lives of stars are born in the heat of their death. It is not destruction, but release. A letting go of all that has been held tightly for so long. These elements spread into space at thousands of kilometers per second. The star becomes not an object, but a cloud, a nebula. Within that cloud are pieces of a history older than any planet, richer than any treasure. This stardust floats, settles, gathers. Some of it will cool into asteroids. Some will become part of comets that wander for eons. Some will find its way into new worlds. And some will reach Earth. There is a quiet miracle in this, that something forged in a moment of unimaginable pressure could come to rest in the gentle world of human hands, that the gold on your skin once flew through space as a plasma wave, that the silver in your mirror once burned with the heat of a star's end. These things now rest on nightstands and necklaces, on fingers and frames. We polish them, we shape them, but we did not create them. They were given. And what of the remnants left behind? Sometimes, a neutron star remains, a spinning core so dense that a teaspoon of its matter would weigh more than all the mountains of Earth. These objects spin rapidly, flashing beams of radiation like celestial lighthouses. They pulse, not from sound, but from rotation. Scientists call them pulsars, each pulse a ticking of the universe's oldest clock. Other times, the core collapses completely into a black hole, a region of space where gravity is so intense not even light can escape. It is not a hole in the fabric of space, but a knot, a folding of reality inward. And yet, even black holes are born of supernovae. They are not monsters. They are conclusions, still mysterious, still studying, still part of the great rhythm. Supernovae leave behind not just matter, but motion. Their shockwaves ripple through space, compressing nearby gas clouds, sparking the formation of new stars. One death begets 1,000 births. In this way, the lullaby of a supernova is not just about the past. It is a call forward, a push into new beginnings. And we, on our small blue world, are the beneficiaries. Earth was formed from the wreckage of stars. Its crust, its core, its oceans, all seasoned with the materials made in those final stellar moments. We walk on the remains of ancient suns. We dig into the bones of old light. And still, we look up, seeking the places from which we came. Astronomers watch the skies for new supernovae, waiting for the flash of light that signals another star's final breath. When one appears, even if in a galaxy far away, telescopes turn toward it. The light is studied, the spectra examined, every wavelength a story, every color a clue. From these distant events, we learn more about ourselves, our matter, our history, our place. In ancient times, a supernova might have been seen as an omen, a new star appearing in the sky, bright and temporary. We now know better, but the wonder remains. To see such a thing is to witness a moment that began millions of years ago, light traveling across space just to meet your eyes. That moment is not random. It is a reunion. A reminder that time and distance cannot break the thread that connects us to the stars. So the next time you hold something made of gold, close your eyes. Feel its weight. Remember its journey. It was once part of a star, carried in silence across space, folded into the dust that formed this world. It is not just valuable because it is rare. It is valuable because it is a story, because it came from light, because it will outlast you and yet always carry you within it. The lullaby of a supernova is not a cry, it is not even a song of sadness, it is a gift, a way for the universe to say, take this, it is the best of me, carry it forward. And we do, we build with it, we wear it, we live through it. And if we listen, really listen, we might still hear the echo of that gift, not with our ears but with our hearts, in the warmth of sunlight, in the shimmer of metal, in the quiet awe we feel when looking at the stars. It is all part of the same story. The stars end not with silence but with generosity, not with emptiness but with abundance. They do not just die. They give. Now let us rest in the afterglow of that luminous farewell, where the universe softens again and all that remains is what was given. The star is gone, but its light still travels. The sound of its final breath, though silent in space, echoes in the form of matter, in the movement of gas and dust, in the gentle rearrangement of atoms now drifting across time. And in that drifting, a promise unfolds, not one of endings, but of becoming. Because from the moment a supernova releases its final elements into the cosmos, those particles begin the journey home. It may take millions of years, but the path is already set. Dust begins to cool, slows its wild motion, and joins with other fragments. Grains stick together gently over long seasons of quiet. A cloud forms. That cloud spins, collapses, gathers heat. And one day in some quiet corner of a galaxy, a new star is born. Around it, rings of dust swirl, collide, condense. Moons and planets form, and within those rocky surfaces, tiny traces of gold, of cobalt, of iron and silver. Little whispers of the star that came before. One such planet in one such solar system became Earth, and from the elements seated there, water, rock, fire, air, life took shape. From chemistry to biology, from instinct to thought, the universe expressed itself not only in structure but in wonder, and through that wonder it began to look back. Humans opened their eyes and saw the sky. They lit fires of their own, carved tools, shaped metal. Some metals glinted, felt warm, soft, enduring. Gold, a gift from a supernova. A fragment of cosmic generosity, shaped by human hands into rings and crowns and keepsakes. Even now, in your bloodstream, the iron born in a supernova moves oxygen from your lungs to your cells. It feeds your brain. It fuels your muscles. Without it, you could not think, could not dream, could not speak. Every word you say is carried on the breath of dying stars. Every heartbeat is a quiet reminder of how deeply you are tied to the sky. There is no part of your body untouched by this. The phosphorus in your bones, the zinc in your enzymes, the copper in your nerves, all were made in ancient explosions. You do not wear the universe. You are the universe, shaped for a time into form and thought, into memory and voice. You are not here to own the stars. You are here to remember them. And remembering does not always require looking up. Sometimes it is in the smallest things, in the curve of a river rock, in the sparkle of sand, in the flicker of gold on a ring passed down from one hand to another. The supernova left more than matter, it left story. It left beauty. It left continuity. Perhaps that is the greatest gift, not just the gold but the thread it weaves through time. The way one element born in fire can pass through 1,000 lives and still carry meaning. A wedding ring, a locket, a coin found on the sea floor. These are not just objects. They are relics of cosmic kindness. The final whisper of a star shaped into something soft enough to hold. And when your life slows, as all lives do, your atoms will return. Not in sorrow, but in cycle. You will join the river of dust once more. Your elements will feed the soil, rise in steam, fall in rain, rest in stone. And perhaps long after memory fades, the gold you wore will still gleam. Perhaps a child, centuries from now, will hold it in their palm and wonder where it came from. And the answer, though they may not hear it, will shimmer quietly from the stars. There is something sacred in that nothing is wasted, that the universe does not forget its own gifts. It simply gives them again in new shapes to new hands under new skis. So sleep easy tonight beneath the stars, knowing they are not just lights in the distance. They are your story, your history, your future. When they fade, they give. When they break, they bloom. Their lullabies are not lost, they are built into everything that remains. And that includes you. In your breath, in your bones, in the warmth of your skin, the universe continues. The lullaby of the supernova hums in every atom, and if you close your eyes, you might feel it, not as a sound, but as a stillness, a presence, a memory that was never yours alone but belongs to all things. This is how stars die. This is how we begin. Light begins not with brightness, but with pressure. In the deepest part of a star, where gravity squeezes hydrogen into fusion, the first flickers are born, not flashes, not beams, just the smallest packets of energy, photons, emerging from the fire at the core. These photons are ancient messengers. They are the beginning of light's long, patient journey. But even in that moment, they are in no rush. A single photon might take thousands, sometimes millions, of years to escape the dense plasma of a star's interior. It doesn't move in a straight line. It bounces, scatters, gets absorbed and released again and again, like a secret trying to find its voice in a crowded room. And yet it continues, slowly, quietly, faithfully. Each photon weaves its way outward through the layers of the star until one day it reaches the surface. And then, with nothing left to block its way, it flies fast, silent, and free. It travels through space at the speed of light, carrying with it not just energy but memory. It remembers the temperature of the core it left, the atom that gave it shape, the path it took through the furnace of fusion. Some of that light heads toward nothing. It crosses the void between galaxies and never touches a thing. But some, just a tiny fraction, happens to find a place like Earth, a world with oceans and atmosphere, with clouds and leaves and eyes. And when it arrives, that long journey ends not in explosion, but in reflection, in absorption, in vision. A blade of grass glows green because of how it receives the light. A lake shimmers because it returns it. And your eye, a small wet curve of tissue, catches it, transforms it into meaning. This is the long goodbye of light. From the birth of a photon in a star to the moment it becomes an image in your mind. And what an image it can be. The pink blush of a sunrise, the golden edge of evening, the shifting silver of moonlight on snow, all of it born in a star and carried across space so that your eyes could receive it. It is easy to forget how far light travels to reach you, to forget the way it bends around planets, filters through air, reflects off water. But each ray of light that touches your skin is a miracle of motion, a messenger that has journeyed for years, for centuries, sometimes longer, just to arrive in this moment. Even the stars you see at night are only memories. Their light left them long ago. Some of those stars no longer burn. Some have faded, collapsed, transformed into something else entirely. And yet their light remains. It crosses time like a song echoing after the voice is gone. You do not see the star as it is, you see it as it was. You are always looking into the past. But it is a beautiful past, one full of meaning, because light is not just a wave or a particle, it is connection. It links what is far to what is near, what is old to what is now. Without it you would not see, plants would not grow, the earth would freeze, time as you know it would lose its rhythm. And light never stops. Once it is freed, it moves forever unless something interrupts it. It can travel across galaxies, illuminating clouds of gas, reflecting off frozen moons, slipping between dust particles in the arms of spiral galaxies. It can become part of an aurora, a rainbow, a beam through the branches of a forest. And when it touches your eye, it does not simply stop. It becomes something more. Your eye sends the signal to your brain, and your brain turns it into understanding, into memory, into beauty. This process is so quiet, so constant, that we rarely notice it. We open our eyes and see, but beneath that seeing is a miracle of science and softness. Cells called rods and cones gather photons. They translate them into tiny electrical impulses. These impulses travel through nerves, through layers of the brain, until they become what you know as color, shape, movement. The eye does not just see, it deciphers. And the brain does not just receive, it imagines. So when you gaze at the stars, you are not just watching, you are welcoming. You are catching pieces of ancient suns, allowing them to end their journey in the mind of a living being. What could be more intimate? What could be more extraordinary? And it is not only visible light that carries meaning. Infrared warms your skin. Ultraviolet feeds the petals of flowers. X-rays, gamma rays, microwaves, all are light, traveling in different forms, each with its own message. The universe speaks in many colors, many wavelengths, and every one of them is a whisper from something distant, something vast, something that has chosen to be known. Even now, light from distant galaxies is on its way to you. It is crossing the cold, dark sea of space, bringing with it stories of beginnings and endings, of collisions and births. Some of it may never reach you. Some may be swallowed by black holes, bent by gravity, scattered by clouds, but some of it will arrive, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps 1,000 years from now. And when it does, it will light up the eyes of someone not yet born, remind them of how large the universe is and how connected. Because light is not a thing, it is a thread. It weaves between stars and people, between atoms and thoughts. It does not judge where it goes, it simply moves. And in its motion, it carries the story of everything. You are part of that story. Every light you see, every shadow you chase, every color you love, it all began in a place so far away, and yet somehow it ends with you. And in that quiet ending, a new beginning always waits. Let's follow the journey of light a little longer, beyond the star that birthed it and the eye that received it, into the quiet spaces where light becomes more than energy, it becomes memory. Because when light touches something, it doesn't just illuminate it, it changes it. A seed under the soil, kissed by sunlight, begins to grow. A photon strikes a chlorophyll molecule, and a leaf makes sugar out of air. A sunbeam enters a camera, and a moment is captured forever. A ray of light reaches your skin, and your cells awaken, feeling warmth, feeling time. Light is not just what we see. It is how we live. It regulates the rhythm of your days, the rise and fall of hormones, the dance of sleep and wakefulness, the mood of your thoughts. It is the silent conductor of your internal clock. Long before we had alarms or calendars, we had sunrise and sunset. And even now, buried beneath electric light and busy noise, your body still listens. It knows the golden hush of dawn. It remembers the deepening blue of twilight. It adjusts gently to each change in the sky. And the sky itself is shaped by light. The blue you see above you is not the color of the air. It is the scattering of sunlight by tiny molecules. The redness of a sunset is not in the clouds, but in the longer path the light must travel, stretched by the angle of Earth's spin. Every hue is a conversation between photons and matter, and the result of that conversation is beauty. Even darkness is a part of light's story. Where light does not reach, shadows bloom, but shadows are not absence, they are contrast. They give shape, depth, meaning. They remind us that light has direction, that it comes from somewhere, that it travels. Without shadows, we could not see form. Without light, we could not see at all. In art, in architecture, in music, light has always been inspiration. A stained glass window glowing at noon, a beam through mist in a forest, the sparkle on the ocean. Artists chase it, poets describe it, children reach for it, and all the while it continues, quietly, patiently onward. Sometimes light is bent. A straw in a glass appears broken because light changes speed in water. A star seen near the edge of the sun seems to shift because its light bends around gravity. This bending, called refraction, or in deeper cases, gravitational lensing, tells us something powerful. Light is not immune to the shape of the universe. It follows curves. It honors mass. It listens to the structure of space itself. And still it moves forward. In deep space, where galaxies collide or black holes consume, light tells the story. We cannot touch these places, but their light reaches us. It carries news from billions of years ago. We peer into telescopes and see galaxies as they were when Earth was still forming. We see stars being born, dying, circling. We measure the stretch of their light and know how fast the universe is expanding. Light is not just illumination, it is information. It is how the cosmos shares its past with us. Your eyes are built to receive this gift. With cones that see color and rods that feel motion in the dark, your vision is tuned to a narrow band of the electromagnetic spectrum. And yet, what you see in that band is profound. You see fire and water, faces and forests. You see language written in light. The way a face softens in candle glow. The way morning fog holds sunlight like a secret. The way stars pierce the night. And beyond what you see, instruments help you listen to the rest of the spectrum. Radio telescopes hear the echoes of the Big Bang. Infrared cameras watch heat blooming in the dark. X-ray observatories trace the violence of black holes. Each one catching light informs your body cannot, but your mind can imagine. Through these tools, we learn that light is always speaking, even when we cannot hear it yet. And though we harness light in many ways, lasers, fiber optics, solar panels, we never truly control it. We invite it, we guide it, but it remains itself wild, pure, ancient. The same light that warms your cheek once passed through clouds of interstellar dust. It may have been delayed, scattered, bent, but it never gave up. It simply waited for the right path, and when it found you, it arrived without hesitation. In every photo you've taken, every mirror you've looked into, every star you've wished upon, light has played its part. It arrived, danced, and departed. Light is fleeting, and yet it leaves a trace. On film, on skin, in memory. It is always moving, always transforming, yet somehow always present. Think about this. The light leaving your face right now will travel forever. It will pass through the room, escape into the sky, move outward into the universe. It may brush a tree, a wall, a cloud, but most of it will keep going. One day, 1 billion years from now, it could pass a distant world, a silent moon, a cold asteroid, still carrying the shape of you in that moment. That light, once yours, becomes a part of the cosmos. In this way, we are not just recipients of light, we are also its senders. We shine, we reflect, we release. Every surface that catches light becomes a mirror. Every moment lit becomes a message. And even when we are gone, the light we have touched may still travel, may still speak. So look again at the sky, not just as scenery, but as history, as connection, as communion. Every photon in your eye is a traveler, a witness, a gift. And every glimpse you return to the world, every glance, every gaze, is your offering in return. This is the long goodbye of light. But it never truly ends. Now let us follow light to its softest destination. Not a galaxy, not a mirror, but the inner world of memory, of feeling, of meaning. Because light does more than illuminate the world outside, it stirs something within. It falls on your face and reminds you that you're alive. It slips across the floor and makes ordinary moments sacred. It colors your childhood, frames your dreams, carries warmth into places even words cannot reach. Light, in its quietest form, becomes emotion. A golden room at sunset, a flash of lightning in a storm, a candle flickering in a room of silence, each a note in light's long, gentle song. And within that song is something profoundly human, the act of noticing. For light on its own is simply movement. It becomes something more when you receive it, when you let it in. And not only through your eyes, you feel it in your skin, in your sense of time, in your memory of place. A window lit in the morning has a different rhythm than one lit at dusk. A path in moonlight feels different from one under neon. This is because light doesn't just show, it shapes. It guides your mood, your awareness, your sense of wonder. Even our stories follow the rhythms of light. Dawn is always beginning. Noon is revelation. Twilight is reflection. Darkness is mystery. We assign meaning to brightness and shadow, not because we are taught to, but because we are built to. Our biology evolved in concert with the sun's rising and setting. We are creatures of rhythm, of cycle, of return, and light is the thread that binds each loop. You see it in rituals, in the lighting of lamps, in birthday candles, in fireflies glowing in the night, in the soft sparks of celebration, in the flicker of morning. Across every culture, every age, humans have turned to light as a way to mark the sacred, to hold what matters. And when the light dims, we do not despair, we wait for its return, because we trust it will come. It always has. And that is part of the miracle. Light leaves, but it also returns. The same sun that sets in one part of the world rises in another. The light that slips below the horizon does not vanish, it simply circles back. It reminds us that absence is not always an ending and that darkness is not a void but a pause, a breath, a time for stars. Stars, after all, are where light begins. Each one a factory of photons, giving away their energy moment by moment, never asking anything in return. They shine because that is their nature, and when they fade, the light they gave remains, moving, remembering, resting in the eyes of those who were lucky enough to look up. You are among those lucky ones. You have seen starlight. You have held the light of ancient suns in your gaze without even trying, and that means something. It means you are part of the universe's memory. You are one of its mirrors, one of the places where its oldest messages come to rest. And so, in the simplest moments, in a sunbeam across a table, in the glow behind closed eyelids, in the flicker of a street lamp, you are receiving more than just light. You are receiving time. You are receiving the echo of stars. You are witnessing the end of a journey that began before you, that will continue long after you, but that paused for just this moment to become yours. And if you have ever cried in golden light or felt peace in the blue hush before dawn, you know this. You have felt how light does not speak, yet it comforts, how it does not touch, yet it warms. It is not alive in the way we are, but it gives life. It does not think, but it brings clarity. It is not love, but it behaves like love, constant, giving, patient. Even when you close your eyes, the memory of light lingers. You can see it behind your lids, feel its warmth in your skin, hear its silence in your thoughts. It shapes the way you remember places, people, days. A memory is not just made of what was said or done, it is made of how the light fell, how it caught a face, how it painted the air. The emotion of light becomes the emotion of life. And this is the long goodbye. Not because light is leaving forever, but because it never truly stays. It visits, it touches, it departs. It moves on, always forward, always outward. And yet through every journey it leaves behind a trace, a shadow, a glow, a moment. You are filled with those moments. The light of your childhood room, the flash of laughter under a street lamp, the golden silence of a loved one's last day. They are not gone. They travel with you, embedded in your being like the afterglow in the sky long after the sun has set. So let light pass through you. Let it rest on your skin. Let it fall on the pages you read, the faces you love, the water you drink. Let it remind you that you are part of something vast and beautiful, that you are one of the few places in the universe where light is not only received, but understood. And when the day dims and your world softens into shadow, do not fear. The light is still moving, still remembering, still finding its way to the next open eye, the next quiet leaf, the next curious heart. This is how light says goodbye. By becoming you.